Just read them off for me. Are you seeing yeses,
Yes,
no's?
yes, yes. All yeses.
Yes, yes.
All
All
yes.
right. Ever failed a driving test? I did mine 3 times, but I am a good driver.
Someone said no, no, yes, no, nope.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
I failed mine the first time too, so you're not alone.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. And let me just put it out there. So where I did my exam, you actually have to learn, there are different levels of license, and I was going for the highest level. So I did that 3 times. They don't generally give it to females on the first go.
Okay.
Just putting that out there. All right. Have you ever really messed up a job interview? Really messed up a job interview? Are we looking? Yes, is there, Donnie?
No.
No? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
No. No. Yes.
Okay.
Some yeses, some no's.
All right. Okay. What about have your have you ever had your heart broken? Whether it was a primary school crush, a high school sweetheart, a university fling.
Yes. 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 Yes.
All right. In that same vein, have you ever been betrayed? Ever been betrayed?
Yes. 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 Yes.
All right. All right. Let's look at a business. Have you ever tried to start a business, failed miserably? Didn't work out. You thought it was going to be what made you a millionaire, but somehow it fell flat. You lost some money, you lost some time. It didn't work.
More yeses than no.
More yeses than no. All right. This one is a little sensitive. Have you ever lost a loved one? Somebody who is near and dear to you?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
So it seems to me, based on your responses, that you all have experienced at some point in time that life happens. Life happens, and we don't plan it. Sometimes we don't expect it, but it happens. And so when it happens, how do we respond? Are we a carrot? Do we respond like an egg? Or do we respond like coffee beans? So I'd like to share a little story with you. And I want to go through the story first, and then I want you to think about which one of these would best reflect how you deal with circumstances that you encounter. So Mary went over to see her mom. And of course, Mary had a really bad week. It felt like she had a bad month. It felt like she had a bad year. Okay, so she might have lived in 2020. We don't know. Okay, but nonetheless, she was really having a rough time. And she went to mom and she started to vent. You know, she said, Mom, it just seems as if every single time it's one thing after the next. It's just constant, constant. I'm fighting, I'm struggling. I don't feel like I'm where I need to be. Things are tough. So mom happened to be in the kitchen. And so as she was talking, mom started pulling out some pots. So she pulled out 3 pots and she got 3 items. She got carrots, she got some eggs, and she got some coffee beans. And she put the water on and she allowed the water to boil. And Mary continued to vent, you know, and she thought life was so unfair. She was a good girl. She's been a good girl all her life. And she believes in God. She's done everything right, but everything seems so wrong. So by this time, the water had boiled and the items had been placed in the water. And once they were finished boiling, they came to, you know, they cooked. Mom took her to the pots. And so she took out the carrots, she took out the eggs, and she had the pot with the coffee beans. And so she said to her, what do you see? So, you know, the obvious. Mary responded, well, I see carrots, I see eggs, and oh, I love the smell of coffee. And she saw what the coffee did. So mom said to her, well, all three of these items endured some hardship. That's the boiling water. But three of them responded differently. So the carrot went in hard, firm, but came out really soft and almost useless. Okay? The eggs, she pulled out and she said to her, go ahead, crack the eggs. And I don't know if I have anybody who loves boiled eggs, but I'm a lover of any egg, any type or style of egg. And she went ahead, took off the outer shell, and that egg had come in very frail, as you all know, and could have been broken just by a hit. And when she took off the shell, it was really hard and rigid. And then she went over to the coffee pot, and the coffee pot, as I told you, she had breathed in the aroma of the coffee. And if there are any coffee fans, I am not one of those, but I do love the aroma of coffee. And so she breathed in and she inhaled the coffee. And mom said, which one will you be? Are you going to allow the circumstances to make you soft and wither away and just give up? Or are you going to be like the egg, where you look the same way on the outside, you keep it together, you dress up, you fancy, but on the inside, you're bitter, you're tough, you're hard, you're resentful? Or will you be like the coffee? Instead of allowing the water to change the coffee, the coffee changed the water, and the aroma she was just soaking up and enjoying. So I asked a question today to all of you who are on the call, and that's not something I want you to put in the chat. I just want you to take a moment to think about it. Which one are you? When you are faced with all of these things that happen in life, how do you respond? Take 30 seconds and think about it. Can I suggest to you that it does not matter how deep you fall. What matters is how high you bounce back. So I don't know which one you would have selected, whether you were the carrot, the coffee bean, or whether you were the egg. But no matter what happens, it doesn't matter how deep you fall. What matters is how high you bounce back. And so the topic for today is the power of the bounce back. I took some time, I looked up the definition of bounce back, because when I thought of the word bounce back, all I thought about was a slinky. You know, now I have a partial slinky here because my child annihilated it, but this is what the slinky looks like. And the definition actually says it returns quickly, to return quickly to a normal condition after a difficult situation, okay? That's what one definition says. But I like the second definition. It says to start to be successful again after a difficult period. So I like to look at bouncing back as, yes, you fall, yes, life happens, but I'm gonna make it better once I get back up. And this particular study is called Sister Stand Up Again, as you all know from the book by DeQuesta Dean. And this particular chapter is about the bounce back. But the entire theme of the book implies that, yes, life happens, but we are able to stand up again. So I'd like to give you some tips this afternoon on how I think, and based on the book, that you can bounce back again. So if you're ready to write, let's move on. The first principle is failure is never final. What do you mean by that, Janelle? I mean that most times when we are faced with circumstances that are beyond our control, that are unexpected, most times we dwell on that current circumstance. We can't find the energy to bounce back like the slinky. But it is important to recognize that that is not the end of the world. Once we have life, there is hope. Once there's another day, there's another opportunity for us to move forward. When I thought of my life, I thought about so many times when I failed. And one that stands out to me is when I did what is called the Common Entrance Exam I am Jamaican by birth, and so I grew up there. And the common entrance exam is similar to GLAT, but instead of just assessing the student, it actually places you in the type of high school. So the particular type of high school that your grade qualifies you for. So for instance, if you got a low grade, there are certain schools that you're expected to attend. If you got a high grade, there are certain schools that you're expected to attend. If you fail, you would have to repeat. So it wasn't like GLAD where if you fail, you still can continue to advance. In my case, if you fail, you would have to repeat. So here it is. I am from a family of 5 siblings, and they're all very smart. I consider myself not to be the smartest of the lot, but they're all very smart. So all of them did this exam and all of them passed, flying colors. In fact, one of my sisters did it before she was at the age to do it. So she was one of those high achievers, young achievers, whatever you want to call them. And so I had that all ahead of me because I was the youngest. And it came my time to do this exam. Ladies, can I tell you, I failed horribly. And so, one, I was the first in my family to fail the exam. 2, I was a teacher's child, and my mother taught that particular, that is what she did. She prepared persons for common entrance. And she was a very good teacher. And thirdly, I was the only one in my entire class that failed the exam. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you feel like you are the only person in the situation. And that is how I felt. And I felt as if my life at that young age was over. And isn't it amazing how sometimes in situations we feel like there is no future? I was so young, and yet I thought that life was going to end because I failed this exam. And so all of that happened, and thankfully, I realized with the help of my parents and my siblings that, I could go ahead and redo the exam, as shameful and embarrassed and painful as it was. And I want to tell you today that out of all of my siblings, I am the only one with a master's degree. And so it is important to remember it is never final when we fail. And we always have to think about, yes, there is another day, and once I am living, there is hope. All right? So failure is never final. Next principle, principle number 2. No experience is wasted. Janelle, what do you mean no experience is wasted? I've had some really rough ones, and I feel like my life has been wasted because of those experiences. I'd like to share some thoughts that I found as I was researching this topic. But one of them says, it's impossible to make a list of all of your experiences. When you don't take time to reflect, you waste valuable lessons. All the experiences play an enormous role in shaping who you are. So what does that tell us? It tells us that from every situation that we go into, every situation that we encounter, there is something that we can learn. And this learning will help us prepare for what is ahead, or will help us to handle or enhance life as we move forward. Like I said, I am not new to failure, okay? I'm not new to having to get back up after something has happened. And I remember when just a moment, if you will just excuse me one quick second.
So while Janelle is gone, maybe we can talk about any lesson that in her first slide, she spoke about the fact that failure isn't final. Was there ever a time when you failed at something, but the lesson actually turned out to be something good? Did anyone have an experience like that?
Oh, yeah. My divorce is like that. I felt like I was at the end of my world. Um, but I think the one lesson I learned was when I was told I wasn't going to make it. And I endeavor to do my best to make it.
Wow. So it actually fueled you to
Yeah,
win.
I
Okay.
had to prove to them that I could make it, and they didn't determine my future.
Wow. That's great, Nicole. Anyone else had a life lesson from a failure? Well, I guess I can go. Go ahead. Who's that?
Oh, this is Tanya.
Go ahead, Tanya.
So I was thinking like the previous person that she was saying that about her divorce, and my divorce was traumatic, to say the least. I really felt like a failure as far as marriage is concerned. Well, in the beginning, when it first ended, I felt like a failure because like I just couldn't even make this work. I've had some failed relationships since then. However, the way I look at them now is very different from how I first started off of always thinking that I'm a failure.
Absolutely.
So now I realize that some of those relationships, they needed not to even be in existence to start off with. I may have not, the marriage didn't work, but I'm not a failure because I have 3 excellent, healthy, mentally healthy children out of it, and I wasn't completely destroyed by staying in it any longer.
Absolutely.
So I think it's perspective. Like when you're hurt, everything is a failure.
Yes.
But as you heal, it's not a wasted experience.
Absolutely. And I think for me, in my experience as a teen, when I had a problem transitioning from preteen into teen and then into my adult years because I didn't have the foundation necessary to help me not have those bumps and bruises. And I think back on those experiences, I understand that even though I was placed in the category of a troubled teen, that it was those very experiences that aligned my destiny to create Transition Mentorship Program, which is a youth organization that helps young people build self-esteem, character, leadership skills, social skills. And so that experience of having struggles through my teen was not wasted. It was converted to help other children. Go ahead, Janelle.
Yes. So life just happened. My apologies. My kids were unattended and somebody came to the door.
Is everything okay?
So I had to make a quick dash for it. So thank you for your patience. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes. All right. So I started to say that I'm not new to having to get back up. And I thought about in my career about some times when I had to endure some experiences that were very uncomfortable for me, that were not what I expected, that were not what I anticipated, but they ultimately prepared me for where I am today. So I look back and I remember my second real job when I moved to the Bahamas. I remember being, really excited and enthused because I had just finished my bachelor's of science. And, I felt as if I had so much to give and so much to offer. And as you all know, when you get into the work world young, even if you are qualified, depending on where you go, sometimes you have to learn the ropes. And so, needless to say, I had some very ruthless persons who thought, hey, she's so young. Let's just take advantage. She likes to work. She's always, willing. So let's just take advantage. And so I went through all of that. And so I was thrown into situations where I had to do things on my own initiative and on my own accord. In fact, at that particular job, I got so bored after a while, even though they kept piling the work on me, I started to create things for myself to do. Believe it or not, I moved on from that position. I went to a larger company and I was able to use a lot of the skills I learned there So that experience wasn't wasted. As ruthless as it was, as hard as it was, I was able to use some of that knowledge for where I went in the larger organization. But to fast forward, I also left that larger organization where I also endured some tough experiences, by the way. And where I am today, every time I look back and every time I think about what I have been able to accomplish in my current role, I could not have done it without all of those experiences that I had to go through. And so even though they were not what I wanted, even though they were not easy to endure, there were learnings that I was able to take and to implement as I moved on. And that's what bouncing back is about. And so let's move to the next principle. See the silver lining. And believe me, there's always one, but sometimes we don't see it. And the truth is, sometimes it is not immediate. And so, as I said, you know, I have lots of stories to pull from, but this particular one, I was still in university. And I remember that I was about to do my internship. So remember now, I had a rough start. I failed common entrance. I came up through school. Finally, I got to university. And now here it is. I'm about to complete my first degree. And I got into a motor vehicle accident where I had to be out of the program that I was a part of for, I think it was 6 months. I felt like, woe is me. Like, can I get a break? First it's primary school, you know, then you go through those rough periods in high school, and now finally you feel like you're finally getting somewhere, and here it is, you are now going to be pushed behind simply because you meet in a motor vehicle accident. Broke my hip, couldn't move, wasn't able to complete my internship, and so it was going to put me back almost a whole semester. Ladies, I again went into, you know, some desperation. I was like, Lord, help me, Jesus. I must be the saltiest little girl in the world. Anyways, I went through that period. I was still able to complete my degree eventually. Of course, I missed out on a brilliant internship opportunity. And so that was always something that I wished I had the opportunity to do, but sadly I didn't. But here it is 5 years later when I got married and I came to the Bahamas. Guess what I got? Anybody who guesses will get a prize. I got something in the mail that totally made me see the silver lining in that complete event.
Oh.
Anything in the chat? Anybody guessing? No guesses?
Your degree?
No. Well, I mean, that was the ultimate, yes, but I got something else. Nobody can guess?
Someone said a job opportunity where you would have interned. Someone said money. Someone said a job.
Money. About 5 years later, finally they had settled the entire accident situation, and I got a really nice settlement that was able to help me get the home that I now have today, and also to purchase our first car when we got married, cash, no loans, nothing. Okay, so again, the silver lining might be something that comes along the way or afterward. It might not be immediate, but there's always a silver lining and we ought to look for it. Okay, that is a mindset of the person who wishes to continuously bounce back. So those are the 3 principles that I'd like to share. And I'm just going to recap them because I know we had some interruptions in between. So the first is failure is never final. No experience is wasted. And the third is see the silver lining. So now I'd like to take some time to just quickly go through some tips to being resilient. Okay. So the first one is be flexible. So you notice just now, I had to get up, I had to do what I had to do, and I have to come back and continue, right? Life goes on. Have to be flexible. Last week, we talked about having a plan. Yes, a plan is good, but we have to realize that life happens. And so we can't be so rigid that when something happens and the plan doesn't go as planned, we become so deterred that we are off track. We need to accept that, yes, life happens. And so there needs to be some flexibility that we allow ourselves so that we can continue to focus. And that leads to my next point. Fix your focus, because perspective is everything. And I think when I walked back in, Tanya was talking about perspective. And as you heal, you become better, even though you go through situations that might seem to be a failure. And so I have a little activity for you to do at this point. I'd like for you to go ahead and look around your room and find everything in the room that is black. I'll give you 10 seconds to complete that task. Everything in your room that is black. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good. So, Crystal, what did you see that was black? Crystal, are you there?
Sorry, trying to unmute. Good night.
Good night.
I found a remote, some keys, and a toy that my daughter left in my room.
All right, good. Did you see anything that was blue? Yes or no?
Now that I'm looking now.
All right, good. So does that mean something that was blue wasn't there?
No, just focus on the black.
Absolutely. And so as we learn to fix or focus, we get the right perspective. So there might be other things that you see along the way. There might be other things that come to distract you along the way. But if you are focused on what it is that you want to accomplish, then those things should not deter you. So I want to encourage you to also fix your focus and to focus and zone in on what you really want to accomplish. And so if I should use that same example, I can go to my next point. Seek to find the good. So it's not that things that were blue weren't present in Crystal's room. It's that she wasn't looking for them. Yes? So if we're not looking for it, at some points we might lose it. We might not find it. We might not see it. And so when we talk about seeking, it talks about intentionally looking for the good when you're in certain circumstances. That's what we have to do. Intentionally seek to find it, because we cannot continue to focus on the negatives, because that will make us bitter and hard, just like the egg. The next thing we can do to be resilient is, sorry, not sure what Siri is saying, not Siri, Bixby, sorry. Control what you can. And this is the one I think that resonates a lot with me, because some years ago, I really embraced and subscribed to the concept that I can only change me. I can only change me. I can only be responsible for me. I can only control what is in my power. I cannot be responsible for somebody else's actions. I cannot be responsible for what I cannot control. And so when you try to control, you kind of take on somebody else's role. And for those of us who subscribe to the Christian faith, you take on God's role. That's his role. Control what you can, okay? And if you can't control it, then leave it alone. And that will help you to become more and more resilient. Then the next tip is celebrate small wins. So earlier, DeQuesta asked, did any of you go out in that mad rush yesterday? I know Tanya and Mia probably are not used to all of what we have seen, but we've had some really long lines because, you know, we're on a lockdown and people wanted to go out and get food and make sure that they're not caught off guard again if we go into another lockdown. And so there have been very long lines. And so this morning, I decided to brave a line and go and get some water because, you know, we have to get water. And so I went on a line and I was there from 7:30 a.m. and I didn't leave until 8:30 a.m. And usually it takes me 5 minutes because the water place is not far from where I live. So while I was on the line, a friend of mine messaged me and she said, "Are you still on the line?" And I said, "You know what? I'm not where I was. I'm not where I was when I started at 7:30. And she wrote back and she said, "I liked that response." So I said, "Why? I'm not where I was." She said, "Because you're celebrating small victories." I said, "Indeed. Progress. That is what I was celebrating." So yes, I had not gotten to the front of the line as quickly as I anticipated, but I was getting there. And so when we are bouncing back, we might not come right back to where we started immediately or very quickly, but as we move along, each time we can celebrate those small wins, encourage ourselves, and continue to move. And last but not least, I want to say to you that we have to, as ladies, determine to stay the course. So yes, we will have things that weigh upon us. We will have things that really threaten or tempt us to give up. Throw our hands in the air and say, "You know what? I'm just done. I'm done. I'm tired. This is it." What we have to do is make up in our minds that no matter what, I am going to be who God has called me to be. I'm going to be what I set out to be. I'm going to accomplish my goals. I'm going to stick to my plan. I am going to stand up again. No matter how many times I get knocked down, I am going to stand up again. So we have to have that determination in our minds that this is what we will do. So before I give you a last story, I've been telling you lots of stories today, because after this, you're going to do an activity, and I'll explain the activity a little bit more, but I wanted to give you another story to kind of just tie everything that I've said together. And so this one is about the donkey and his owner. So the donkey and the owner were walking, and sadly, donkey fell in a hole. So the owner looked down. It was a deep hole. Donkey was far down in the hole. Owner thought to himself, said, "You know what? He was old anyway. He was about to die. I really shouldn't spend my time trying to get him out." So instead, he called his neighbors and he said, "Hey, let's get some shovels. I'm just going to bury the donkey because I think his time on earth has ended." And so he called the neighbors. Neighbors came in. They started to shovel, put the dirt on. First set of dirt hit the donkey, and he screamed out and cried. You know, he was so hurt. He couldn't believe his owner had turned his back on him. He'd served his owner faithfully for so many years, and here it is, he fell in a hole. He didn't even try to get him out. Instead, he was ready to throw his hands up and be done with him. Anyways, as they continued to shovel dirt on the donkey stopped crying. And the farmer looked over, and what he saw really amazed him. He realized that the donkey had been shaking off the dirt and stepping on top of it each time the dirt was thrown on him. And so I want to say to you today, as you go through life, as you continue on this journey, you started on this 6 weeks journey, you started to reevaluate, reassess, you've made your plans, you've done all that you can possibly do as you go through this course, and even in life. Things are never always going to be just how you want it. And as life throws things at you, I want to say to you, shake it off and take a step up. Michelle Obama says, when people go low, we go high. Similar concept. As things start to get us down, let's try to move on up by being resilient, staying with the plan, being flexible, looking for the silver lining, and making sure that we are continued to move along once we have life, once we have strength. So with that said, I'm going to place you in breakout rooms, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and make a plan for your bounce back. Why am I saying this? So yes, we're talking about remaining resilient and doing all that we can in our power to stay resilient, but it is important for us to plan how we are going to bounce back, because when you're actually in the situation, sometimes it's not the best time to think about the escape plan or think about how you will make it through. But if you have the plan already in place, you can refer to it. And I think Donnie also talked about a time when she was going through a rough time and she was able to look at something she wrote, and that encouraged her and helped her through a situation. So it's similar. I've been having some mental wars or battles, and I decided then, since I keep having these battles, let me plan a way to help myself get through it. So if I tilt my screen, you'll see I have, it's not so fancy, but it's a piece of paper with some affirmations that I see as soon as I wake up. So as soon as I wake up and those mind battles start, I am able to look at it and I can bounce back from the thinking of, hey, you can't make today. Today is going to be rough. It's going to be another sappy day. It's going to be a rough day. Instead, I look at that phrase and I'm able to remind myself that I'm still going to have a good day. So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. You're going to take some time, think about all that we've talked about, and think about something that perhaps you need to have a plan for as it relates to bouncing back. And I want you to write that one thing. You can discuss it among yourselves in the breakout rooms. And when we come back, we'll share just one person's example. Okay, so decide who that person will be and who wants to share. And so we'll have two persons share when we get back in the main forum. Are we clear on what we're going to do? Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thanks, Mia, for not leaving me hanging.
Okay, I got you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, that's what sisters do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and place you in breakout rooms. So I'm going to give you just 5 minutes. Let's see how you're doing with time. Oh, we're doing well with time. I'm going to give you just 5 minutes for your breakout room. So remember, the activity is to find one thing that you think you might need a plan for to bounce back, okay? And you're going to write what that plan is. It might be affirmations. It might be to call somebody. Whatever it is, write down what that plan is, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it, all right? So in a minute, you're going to get a request for a breakout room. Go ahead and accept it. And when you're done, you'll also get a request to come back to the main room. Donnie, is it that I don't have the access? Can you see the rooms? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I can't see the room. Let me just create them. How many rooms were you creating?
Just 2.
2 rooms. And okay, so just, okay.
Doesn't seem my co-host gives me the access to do it.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay. Got it? The good time.
Okay, so we have, okay, Alexis, did you get your invite to join?
Oh, yes, I just got it.
Okay,
Got it.
great. Jan.
I do apologize. I was unable to drop into your groups because of some technical difficulty, but I'd like for you to go ahead and whoever was decided, it was decided that would share. Can you go ahead and share for us, please? Group 1, I'm gonna say group 1 is a group with Alexis. I just randomly said that, Alexis. So whoever is in Alexis' group, whoever is in Alexis's group, you can go ahead and go first.
I believe Miss Nicola is going to share.
Okay. All right, Nicola. Let's hear from you.
Go ahead and unmute yourself, Nicola.
I think I was volunteered.
Mm.
A plan for my bounce back. I'm still undecided with a plan for my bounce back because, like I was telling them, my thing is I've been procrastinating for a while on completing my bachelor's. And now I'm almost to retirement age. I'm wondering if that is something that I really want to do. So I'm still in between that and trying to figure out what, if not that, what do I need? What do I really want to do after banking? So I'm still in that phase of trying to figure out what I know I like helping people and whatever else, but I still haven't find my niche yet on where I want to go or do. So I don't have a plan, but it is something that I am toying with, I guess, or going through my mind as to what next after banking.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Nicola. And that's okay. Sometimes we are at that spot. And I like the fact that you haven't completely wiped it out of your mind. So that shows you're still being flexible with you. Life might have happened. Some things might have happened. Some other things might have come up. And you are still thinking about what is the best move now. Okay. So that is still something that is good. I want you to give yourself time. And of course, just stick with it. Don't just block it from the mind because of time and all of these things. Make a decision, and then whatever it is, I encourage you to go for it. So thanks for sharing, Nicola. All right, let's go to the other group.
So can I just say, this is Mia, of course, I'm always talking, I'm sorry. But
fine, Mia.
Listen, it's who I am. People know when I'm in the room. So we didn't, that could be a good or a bad thing. Depends on, how you see the glass.
It's good for today, Mia. That's
okay,
fine.
So we didn't decide on who, and if the ladies don't mind, I want to just share what they said, not so much me, but us as a group. So I was in the group with Crystal and Tamiko and Dina, and Tamiko didn't get a chance to share with us, unfortunately, but overall the ladies were sharing that in order for them to bounce back, they are going to be using the things that we've been talking about these past few weeks. They're going to really actually implement all these tools that we have in our belt now, and action is like the main part. And one of the ladies, I think it was Crystal, who said that she's going to really learn how to say no, because her saying no will probably empower her to do, come back and do those, to have the bounce back. And the one thing that I just shared with them was in my, when you said, Janelle, that you have an affirmation that you see every morning, in my bedroom, there's a big plaque over my closet door that says, today is a good day for a good day. And that really encourages me, and it lets me know that today is a new day. Yesterday is gone, and today it's a good day, even when it doesn't seem like it's a good day. It's a good day that I could even read the sign. That means I'm here. So yes. But we are going to use the things that we've been learning in these past few weeks with the DeQuesta and actually putting them into action.
Wonderful. All right, good stuff. Thank you for using that time to talk with each other and to come back and share, Mia and Nicola. I appreciate the feedback and your engagement. And so we're going to wrap things up with one last affirmation from you. You see it on the screen. You're going to change a you and you're going to say I, because I believe you are strong, you are resilient, and you can handle it. So let's all unmute if you don't mind, and let's go ahead and repeat that after 2, after 3, okay, after 4. Are we all ready? All right, 2, 3, 4. I am strong. I am resilient. I can handle it. Wonderful. And so if I had to leave one closing thought with you, it would be just keep bouncing. Every time something happens, every time you think that you can't make it, just keep bouncing. I want to thank you so much for your time, ladies. You've been such a good audience, and I really hope that you would have gotten some reminders or some takeaways from this session. And I'm going to use this opportunity now to hand back over to Quasar Dean.
Oh, to me. Okay, great. Can you stop sharing your screen? Great, thank you so very much. So let's go ahead to do our celebrations before I start my little conversation. Last week we had, I commit to taking the following actions to create my success plan. And I only see 3 people we celebrating this week. So I want to encourage you guys to make sure that you make your commitments in chat. When we write it and we share it, we're more likely to follow through with it. I want to celebrate Mia. She made a commitment and to ride her bike a minimum of 5 days to work. Girl, I'm so super proud of you. I also celebrate Dina. And I also celebrate Nicola, who posted in chat what they will be doing in the coming weeks to make sure that their dreams come true. So guys, make sure that you make your commitments, write them on your worksheets if possible, so that you can refer to those and remind yourself of the things that you intend to do over the course of the rest of the year. Next week, we're privileged to wrap up our session with a bonus session. Our bonus session is week 7, and it is being facilitated by Dr. Gandhi Thompson. We will be talking about the power of faith. And so I invite you to be here for our bonus session. It will be our final week together for this particular journey. So I want to go over to your worksheets. I posted it a little bit late today, and I apologize for that. So I want to go over the worksheet very quickly. And so the worksheet is talking about the power of bouncing back. The power of bouncing back. Life is a series of hills and valleys. There is a silver lining in each experience. The question to answer is, what can we take from those experiences that have the potential to derail us and instead create something positive with them? Every experience has something we can use to make the future better. Our STEM conversation starter in our Facebook group this week is going to be 3 things that I can immediately begin doing to bounce back are. And I encourage you to make use of that group and type the things, your action steps, your commitments, the things that you will immediately begin doing. So I'm going to leave that up for you, for those of you who are writing them down and filling out your worksheets. I hope you all are, and creating a booklet so that you can go back to our journey together and review the information, just to refresh yourself and remind yourselves of the commitments you made, and also of the teaching and everything that you gained as a result of being with us. So please remember to be with us next week, Thursday, for our final session for this journey with Dr. Gandhi Thompson on the power of faith. As we close out our session today, I'd like to ask for a few volunteers just to share with Janelle the value of the session today. What are your greatest takeaways? Can I have a few people to volunteer?
For me, the flexible part, I'm not, when I say I'm straightforward, I'm really straightforward. So the flexible part, even though it seems easy, that is something that I know that I need to work on. Because when curves come, oh, I get really angry. So I'm short of patience. So flexibility is not one of my strong suits.
They say knowing is half the battle. Thank you so much, Nicola. Can we have another volunteer, please? I know Mia is like, I'm not gonna do it because I talk all the time. I'm gonna give someone else an opportunity. So let me just solitaire someone then, since they're Tammy. Unmute yourself and tell us if you're there. The value you got out tonight's session, please. Crystal, I coming to you next. Tammy, are you there? Go ahead, Crystal, because she doesn't seem to be available right there. You can go ahead and mute your phone. Unmute your phone.
From tonight's session, the word resiliency keeps on bouncing back, and I know she gave us the 6 steps, and that's something that I never really thought about. You usually just say, okay, I can't do it, you let it go, but it makes you, this session actually just made me just think of things that may have popped into my mind maybe a year ago, a month ago, and it's like, it's okay to try and take that chance and not to be afraid, because as she said, just keep on bouncing.
Okay.
You never stop. So I'm going to try and implement that into little things, because I think that's where it starts. And once you could get over those little things, it makes it so much easier to do other things.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Tamika was saying that her mic is not working, so Dina, we'll wrap it up with you.
One of the key points for me tonight is learning to celebrate the little things. Don't wait till everything become big to celebrate. So that right there for me, that's something I'm taking with me. Celebrate the small things. Yes.
Thank you so very much. Well, thank you, Janelle, for facilitating tonight's session. Thank you, ladies, for attending. And tomorrow I'll be posting in our Sister Stand Up Again group a promo for the video guide for affirmations. You can look out for that if you need some support in daily affirmations. It's a 21-day journey. I'll be posting it inside our group for you to take a look at to see if it's something that can help you over the next 21 days after we're done with our session. Thank you so very much and have a great...
DeQuesta. Wait, DeQuesta, I'm sorry. What did you say? 21 days what? I wasn't, I'm sorry, I had a phone call.
It's a 21-day affirmation journey. So it's video affirmations, and it's a guided visualization for 21 days.
You're who's doing it? You?
Yes, and I'll post it in. It's actually it's all video recorded, so you guide yourself every day with the videos of the affirmations.
Okay.
All right, so I'll be dropping that in chat to see what your interest is. It's so look out for it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, have a good night. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. You too. Have a good night.